everyone. I am Natalie Wright, and I am the staff administrator at Smarts Art School in Youngstown, Ohio. So some of you might not know this, but in addition to being the staff administrator at Smarts, I am also a writer, and I write under the pen name Ann Natalie. So I wanted to take a couple minutes today to talk to you a bit about my creative process and what it looks like for me when I am getting ready to write a first draft of a story. When you are trying to write a story, the first thing that you need to do is be inspired. So an inspiration can come from many different things. It could be very famously from a dream. So for instance, Stephenie Meyer, the author of Twilight, she very famously said that she had the inspiration for that book entirely from a dream. You can also be inspired by maybe a topic that interests you. So maybe you're interested in a particular time period in history and, that inspires you. Or there's a book that you love and something about that book makes you want to create your own story. Maybe there's like a fight scene in there that inspires you, or a character who has like a special interest and that inspires you. So that's a way you can become inspired. You could also be inspired by the movies that you love. Maybe they're shot in a setting that you really enjoy and that inspires you, or they deal with a topic that inspires you and you want to tell your own story based on that topic. So that's great too. Artwork also is a wonderful way to get inspiration. A class I took in college involved going to the museum that was on campus and looking at famous pieces of artwork and then writing a short story around it. That can also inspire you. Anything can be inspiration as long as it makes you feel creative. That's really the important thing. So, step 2 in writing a first draft of a story is to brainstorm and play. And this is probably my favorite step in all of it. It's the most fun for me. So you need to daydream first of all. So you need to sit down and think about what does my world look like? Who's in my world? What are the types of people that are in my world? And speaking of that, you need to play with your characters. One of my favorite ways to play with characters comes from Saba Tahir, one of my all-time favorite authors. You should definitely check out her books if you are interested in young adult fantasy. But she likes to do character interviews. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. Okay. Oh my gosh. Hi. Thank you so much for coming in to talk with me today. I'm so excited. I never get the chance to talk to my characters like this. So thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. My name is Natalie, but my characters call me Ann because it's my pen name. And I just love having a pen name. What is your name? Hello. My name is Josette. Josette Carmichael. Oh wow, hi Josette. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk to me. Like I said, it really means a lot. I just have a couple questions here, if that's okay. Yeah, okay, cool. So what do you like to do, Josette? Well, I enjoy horseback riding. Wow, oh my gosh, that is so nice. Horses are it's just so cool. Hold on, let me just write that down.
And hunting the hordes of the undead in a holy crusade against true evil.
Oh. What happened to your face?
It came in the night.
Another important part of brainstorming and play is research. This is where you get into the meat and bones things that are really going to become important in your story. So you need to research setting. Even if it's not based off of a real place, you still need to brainstorm the ideas of what kind of vegetation is in this world? What is the air like? Are there certain smells or plants in that place that make the air smell that way? Or businesses, the economy, all of that needs to be considered. You also are going to want to research the historical time period if you have chosen a historical time period in our history. For instance, say the 1920s. You're going to want to research, you know, flappers or the laws that were enacted in that time. So that way you have a fuller understanding of what exactly that looks like. You're also going to want to research culture and customs from that time, language, clothing. Just think about your everyday life. What does it look like? You need to then take those pieces and make them so that way they fit into your character's life. So like, you know, I get up in the morning and I brush my teeth and then I eat breakfast, but I eat a very specific breakfast. I eat oatmeal most of the time. What would your character have eaten if they were from the 1300s? You know, so that's very important. Something else that people don't often think about when they're researching their time periods are food and superstitions. So really you're going to want to research everything you can to have a well-rounded picture of what that world looks like. Lastly, the other thing that you're going to want to research is just anything you don't know that maybe you want to include into your story. And research, I want to really make sure that I point out, can be done at any stage in the writing process. It does help if you have that research done while you're going into your outline, but you know, if you find that you've reached a point where you're including something that maybe you don't know a lot about, definitely go and research that topic because you want to make your world as real as possible. All right, so now the next thing that we're going to do in our story process is create a character arc for one character. And this is going to be a really rough character arc, and it's just going to be, like I said, for one character. Ideally, you want to have many character arcs going because you want your story to be rich and layered, but we're just going to go through what one character arc might look like. So, Josette, what made you hate the undead?
They killed my mother.
Oh. And my brother. Oh. And my neighbor. Oh. Everyone, really. I see. So what about your dad?
No. He's a cheese farmer.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is conflict. What is your character's goal and what is stopping them from reaching that goal? This is the meat and potatoes of a story. You cannot have a story without some kind of conflict, otherwise it's going to be boring. No one wants to see your character get what they want right away. It's all about the challenges. You know, it's just like that quote, like, you know, that life is about the journey, not the destination. Very much your story is also like that. So, conflict. We're going to go back and find out what our character's conflict is in our character interview. Josette, dare I ask, but... Well, my goal, clearly, is to take revenge on the person responsible for the deaths of my loved ones. In this case, specifically, the Undead Lord. Oh, that sounds healthy. But the Undead Lord is the only one with the power to bring them back from the dead, which would then also make them undead, which would complicate things. Yeah, that's a bummer.
And I think I love him.
Him? Who?
The Undead Lord. That's not okay.
It is with the fans. Okay, so step 3 that we are going to do in order to write our first draft is, you guessed it, write. We're finally ready to write. So here we go. We're gonna write. No, I said we're gonna write. Hello? Wright? Fine. Alright. Let's see what we've got here. I hate it. And the last step to completing our rough draft is fresh eyes. So this is really important. You need to wait a couple weeks before you touch your draft again. I know this is such a hard step to do because you finally finished. You did all the writing, the plotting, everything. But you really need to wait about 2 or 3 weeks at the least. It's best to give it like maybe a month. But you really want to give some type of time in there because you want to be able to go back and look at your story with fresh eyes and see, you know, the plot holes and everything like that. So what can you do during this time instead of looking at your draft? Well, you could go for a walk, or write something new, or rearrange your bookshelves again. Whatever you want to do, as long as you're resting and recharging, because you're going to need that energy when it comes for draft 2. That's right. You're going to take what you wrote, you're going to read it, and then you're going to start all over again with this whole process. I know it's going to be really tempting to say you're done after draft 1, but I cannot express this enough. It is really essential to start again, because the ideas that you've fully fleshed out in your first draft are going to become even better and more well-rounded and more interesting in draft 2. So definitely read through, keep the sections that you like, but don't be afraid to totally start all over again for draft 2. Trust me, it will be worth it. All right, so thank you so much for taking this journey with me through my creative process. If you are interested in learning more about creative writing, please submit an application to become a student at Smarts. We have a lot of really awesome teachers who can tell you so much about creative writing and help you become an even better writer than you are now. And if you're interested in learning more about my escapades in reading and writing, you can check out my website, which I will put up on the screen here. You can also check me out on my YouTube channel, which I am just starting to add content to again. I'm going to be doing some delightful book reviews and some book hauls there. You can also follow me on Instagram at MischiefMakerAnne. And as always, you can see me at Smarts Art School. Again, I am Staff Administrator Natalie Wright. And get out and write today. It's a good time to write. Be creative. Thank you. Don't we make a cute couple?